This is Jamey from Stonemaier Games, and today I'm going to talk about my favorite mechanism in Mind Management, which is a hidden movement game. Here's some photos here. A hidden movement game based on a popular graphic novel. I played a 5-player game just the other day. I was one of the teammates trying to solve and figure out where the location of the hidden person was, and a friend of mine was that hidden person. So they had, in front of them, they had this board right here. It's the same board that we had in front of us, but theirs is a dry erase board. They were writing where they were throughout the game. Like turn 1, they would write where they were, then turn 2, and so on this map. But we couldn't see that. All we could see was this. And so we're stumbling around this board, doing various actions, looking at different icons and asking, like, oh, have you been on one of these icons? Things like that to deduce where the hidden player has been, and so that we can try to find them. There are a few really cool mechanisms in the game. My favorite, I'll just start out and jump in with my favorite, which is that this player, the hidden player, can only move onto each of these locations, these squares, one time throughout the entire game. They are only allowed to move onto one of the squares one time. And their movement is very restricted. They're just moving one little square at a time around this board. That, I think, is really, really clever. It significantly limits the possibilities of where they can be, because it is very hard for the players trying to find them. It's a difficult deduction game to figure out where they've been, where they are now, and try to pounce on them at the right moment and say, have I found you? Because you actually have to take an action to do that. And so I really like that this player has a very difficult puzzle of figuring out where they can move, so they give these players as little information as possible, and so they don't get stuck, because if they back themselves into a corner and can't move out of it, their game is done. There is like one small exception to the rule that I won't go into, but there's like one special movement that they can do that can get them out of a tight bind like that. But the key just is that they can only move onto each location once. I think that's a brilliant addition to a hidden movement game. The other things that I think are pretty clever about this game are these walls. You can see these wall tokens. These are big wooden tokens that each player gets to put out at the beginning of the game. So it's not like a random setup like in Burgle Brothers. I think it's somewhat random. I do like it in Burgle Brothers too. But each player gets to put one of these walls out to change essentially the layout of the board for the game. So you can't move past a wall. No one can move past a wall or over a wall. I thought that was a really clever addition. And last, we didn't really get into it. You can't really see it in the photos here, but the game has a really, really neat unlocking system where there are a bunch of hidden boxes, not hidden boxes, but closed boxes for the player who's playing as the hidden player, and a bunch of boxes for the other players who are working together to find the hidden player. And it's not a campaign game, but basically every time you play, if you play this game with the same people, and you find that the hidden player is winning more often, or whenever the hidden player wins, you get to unlock one of the boxes for the other players to give them a little bit of an advantage. And if then those players start winning a bunch, you can then unlock one of the boxes for the hidden player to give them a new advantage. So it has a really nice balancing effect built into the game itself, which I think is really, really cool. So yeah, those are my favorite mechanisms in Mind Management. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below if this reminds you of another hidden movement game, or if you've played Mind Management and want to share your favorite mechanism in the game with me. Maybe your favorite unlock. I don't know. Put a spoiler warning on it, but I'm curious to see what you've unlocked if you've been playing the game a lot. Thanks.